Chapter 1205. 1205 The Treasure in the Old Mine. The treasure exchange continued. Next, others went up and took out their treasures to exchange. I also have 2 divine ruins ancient mines here. I wonder who needs it? I'll buy it with raw stones. After a while, another young man went up and took out 2 pieces of glistening yellow divine ruins ancient mine. What? When the young man took out the 2 ancient mines of the divine ruins, Xian Yanqing raised his eyebrows. Lu Ming, I feel that there's something in one of the old mines. Xian Yanqing sent a voice transmission to Lu Ming. Little Qing, you can sense it? Lu Ming was a little surprised. Lu Ming, there's indeed something in one of the old mines. It's quite suitable for this chick. That's why she sensed it. However, it's not too precious. Dandan sent a voice transmission to Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded and planned to buy it. Just like before, buying the divine ruins, ancient mine was like gambling, and almost no one made a bid. I'm new here, and I'm very curious about the divine ruins, ancient mines. These 2 ancient mines, I'll offer 100,000 pieces of raw stones to buy them and study them. Lu Ming said casually. He seemed to have bought 2 pieces purely out of curiosity. After Lu Ming spoke, no one else spoke. That young man was somewhat depressed. Those 3 pieces of divine ruins ancient mine previously were raised to a high price of 5 million, while his 2 pieces could only be sold for 100,000. After waiting for a while and seeing that no one else was bidding, he could only sell Lu Ming at a price of 100,000. Lu Ming handed the rough stone to the young man and kept the 2 pieces of the old mine. He did not go down. Instead, he swept his gaze across the entire place and said, Lu Ming would like to purchase the Emperor's Bloodstone, 9-leaf Ganoderma, Goblin, and Octagonal Mysterious Ice Grass. If you have these 4 spiritual herbs, you can state your conditions. Lu Ming will try his best to fulfill them. Emperor's Bloodstone, Earth Emperor's Essence. The others, expressions changed. These 4 items are all very precious. Their value is no less than the Fire Spirit Root. In fact, the Octagonal Mysterious Ice Grass is even more expensive. That's right. I've only heard of these 4 spiritual herbs and materials, but I've never seen them before. The others were all discussing, and almost everyone shook their heads, indicating that there was no such thing. Emperor's Bloodstone, I do have one. Right at this moment, a clear and melodious voice sounded. Lu Ming's eyes lit up and he looked in the direction of the sound. The one who spoke was the stunning woman in the fiery red dress. It's Ji Hongqian. Someone muttered. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. This woman was indeed Ji Hongqian. He was one of the 3 strongest heaven's favorites of the younger generation in the South God Palace. Yi Chuan had mentioned him before. Miss Ji, you have the Emperor's Bloodstone? Lu Ming revealed a look of anticipation. Ji Hongqian's palm glowed and a dark red stone appeared. This stone was like blood jade. The strange thing was that there was a sweet fragrance coming from the stone. It was very pleasant to smell. It really is the Emperor's Bloodstone. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. Miss Ji, what treasure do you need to exchange for the Emperor's Bloodstone? See if I have it on me. If I don't, I'll find a way to get it. Lu Ming said. Brother Lu, it's your first time in the divine ruins. You're a guest, so I don't need to exchange for any treasures. Brother Lu can just buy it with raw stones. 30 million raw stones it is then. Ji Hongqian said. 30 million? Lu Ming was slightly stunned. It was not because it was too expensive, but because it was too cheap. A rare treasure like the Emperor Bloodstone was at the peak of level 9 and was extremely rare. Its true price was definitely not just 30 million. Miss Ji, I've already gotten a huge bargain with 30 million raw stones. Lu Ming said. Brother Lu, you are a guest. I'll take it as Hongqian befriending you. Ji Hongqian laughed in a forthright manner. Everyone was clear that Ji Hongqian's attitude was due to Lu Ming's ability. If Lu Ming's combat strength was low, Ji Hongqian would not have bothered with him. But now, Lu Ming's strength had attracted Ji Hongqian's attention. That was why he wanted to befriend him. Then thank you, Miss Ji. Lu Ming was not a bashful person. He took out a storage ring, stored 30 million raw stones in it, and handed it to Ji Hongshan. Ji Hongshan handed the emperor's bloodstone to Lu Ming. Lu Ming put away the emperor's bloodstone and returned to his seat. He was in a good mood. Today's harvest was not bad. After that, more people took out their treasures to exchange, but Xian Yanqing and Lu Ming were not interested. After a while, Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing stood up and left. They went to the 5th floor and said goodbye to Yi Chuan. They left the treasure exchange tower and returned to their residence on General Peak. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing entered the mountain and river diagram and sat cross-legged on a mountain peak. Between the two people, a piece of Divine Ruins' ancient mine was suspended. This piece was the one that Xian Yanqing had sensed. Lu Ming's vital essence on his finger condensed into a blade of vital essence, and he cut it down at the Divine Ruins' ancient mine. The Divine Ruins' ancient mine was very hard, even harder than many metals. However, under Lu Ming's blade of quintessential essence, it was still easily cut open. Instantly, a wisp of black demonic qi filled the air. There's really something. Lu Ming's expression changed. This Divine Ruins' ancient mine was really intriguing. There was something sealed in the ancient mine. Gotcha! In the end, the Divine Ruins' ancient mine split open, and a drop of dark red blood appeared. A beam of dense demonic light shot up into the sky. This is a powerhouse's fresh blood, sealed inside the Divine Ruins' ancient mine. Lu Ming was secretly surprised. Legend had it that ores like the Divine Ruins' ancient mine did not come from the Divine Ruins continent. Some people guessed that it came from beyond the heavens. When experts fought, treasures, fresh blood, essence blood, and other things splashed onto the Divine Ruins, or they landed on the Divine Ruins continent through the spatial cracks. For various reasons, some treasures, fresh blood, and other things were sealed by the Divine Ruins' ancient mine, and after a long time, they were preserved. The owner of this drop of blood is an expert who cultivates the demonic path. Although many years have passed and this drop of blood no longer has much power, it is still very useful to me. If I refine it, my cultivation will definitely increase. Xian Yanqing said. Little Qing, then quickly refine it, before the energy dissipates. Lu Ming said. Xian Yanqing nodded. The blood vessels appeared on his head. He formed a seal with his hands and sucked a drop of blood into his hands. He began to refine it. Lu Ming estimated that Xian Yanqing would need at least a few days to refine a drop of demon blood. Lu Ming went to a nearby mountain peak and took out the remaining few ancient mines in the Divine Ruins. 3 of them were bought by Mu Ju, but his storage ring was taken by Lu Ming. The 3 Divine Ruins' ancient mines naturally fell into Lu Ming's hands. One of them was the one that he sensed a treasure in. Lu Ming put it aside first and cut open the other 3 Divine Ruins' ancient mines one by one. As expected, there was nothing inside. There were only 3 ores that were useless. Lu Ming's gaze shifted to the last piece of old mine. He used the blade of quintessential essence and cut it. Immediately, a scorching aura spread out from the Divine Ruins' ancient mine. Lu Ming revealed a look of joy and completely cut open the old mine. This is a weapon fragment. In the Divine Ruins' ancient mine, Lu Ming discovered a piece of weapon fragment that emitted a scorching aura, as if there was a flame burning. Chapter 1206. 1206 Strange Phenomenon in the Divine Ruins. This weapon fragment was only the size of a fingernail, but it was filled with a scorching aura, like a ball of burning flames. This must be a fragment of a Supreme Master's weapon. It contains intense firepower. If I can extract it and refine it, my fire concept will definitely improve greatly. Lu Ming pondered and was tempted. He then circulated his essential core to wrap the weapon fragment and began to extract it. As Lu Ming continued to condense, a flame was extracted from the weapon fragment and jumped on his fingertips. Refine. His quintessential essence wrapped around the flames and began to refine them. Lu Ming closed his eyes and carefully sensed the fire energy in it to improve his own fire concept. Time passed day by day. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 days had passed. After more than 10 days, Lu Ming had completely refined the ball of flame. Fire concept, the peak of level 4 upper tier. Lu Ming opened his eyes and a flame flashed past his eyes. The peak of level 4 upper tier was only a step away from the great circle of level 4. Boom! From a nearby mountain peak, demonic might was vast and mighty, and a stream of demonic chi soared into the sky. The peak of the 4th level of the spiritual god realm. Little Qing's cultivation has also improved greatly. Lu Ming revealed a smile on his face. When he first met Xian Yanqing in the Abyss Demon territory, Xian Yanqing had just broken through to the 3rd level of the spiritual god realm. After receiving Xiao Wan's inheritance and cultivating for a while, Xian Yanqing's cultivation had reached the 4th level of the spiritual god realm. However, he was only at the early stage of the 4th level spiritual god realm. Clearly, in the past half a month, Xian Yanqing had refined that drop of demon blood and his cultivation had reached the peak of the 4th level spiritual god realm. Although the energy from the drop of demonic blood had been refined, Xian Yanqing was still cultivating. Lu Ming could feel that the heavenly demon will was stirring in Xian Yanqing's body. Little Qin wants to take this opportunity to break through the heavenly demon will in one go. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He knew Xian Yanqing's plan. That drop of demonic blood also contained a strong demonic will. It was very touching for Xian Yanqing, so it was normal for him to have a breakthrough. Lu Ming did not disturb Xian Yanqing. A piece of sky thunder wood appeared in his hand. Lu Ming planned to use the sky thunder wood to continue cultivating and comprehend the concept of thunder. It was very similar to the refining of the weapon fragment earlier. Lu Ming first extracted a wisp of lightning from the sky thunder wood and then refined this wisp of lightning to improve his thunder concept. In the blink of an eye, another dozen days had passed. In total, Lu Ming had been in closed-door cultivation for a month. The wisp of lightning had also been refined by Lu Ming. His lightning concept had also reached the peak of level 4 upper tier. The sky thunder wood that he had bought with 5 million Orirocks could help his thunder concept reach the peak of level 4 upper tier. It was worth it. Buzz! A figure stepped through the air and appeared in front of Lu Ming. It was Xian Yanqing. Little Qing, you've broken through your intent realm. Lu Ming asked. Yes, my heavenly demon will has reached the peak of level 4 upper tier. It's a pity that I'm only one step away from reaching the full circle of level 4. Xian Yanqing said. This time, she had gained a lot. Her cultivation was just one step away from breaking through to the 5th level of the spiritual god realm. That divine ruins ancient mine is truly wondrous. I reckon that there must be supreme powerhouses who cultivated the fiend path being killed, their flesh and blood scattered. Some were sealed inside the divine ruins ancient mine. Xian Yanqing said. Lu Ming nodded. He was also very curious about the divine ruins ancient mine. Woo! At this moment, a cry sounded in the sky. The cry sounded very sorrowful, very sorrowful. Lu Ming's expression changed drastically. This cry definitely did not come from within the mountain and river diagram, but from the outside world. However, the mountain and river diagram was a treasure of the heavenly abode. It was isolated from the outside world, and sound could not enter at all. But how did this sound enter? Obviously, Xian Yanqing had also thought of this, and his expression changed. Buzz! Dandan flew over from afar and landed on Lu Ming's shoulder. She said, What's this crying? It's so unpleasant to hear. How did it even reach here? It's coming from outside. Let's go out and take a look. Lu Ming said. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and Dandan exited the mountain and river diagram together. As soon as he got out of the mountain and river diagram, the crying sound became even clearer. It was coming from the east. The two of them left the room and went to the courtyard. That's... Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing looked to the east, their eyes wide in shock. It was nighttime and the world was dark. The moon and stars were nowhere to be seen. But on the east side, the sky was blood red. It was like the sunset, but it was definitely not the sunset. The light rushed out from the ground and dyed the horizon red. And that sorrowful cry was coming from that direction. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing flew out of the courtyard and into the sky, where they could see more clearly. At this moment, the sky above the South God Palace was filled with people, all looking toward the east. Tuobashir, do you know what's going on? Lu Ming asked as Tuobashir was beside them. General Lu. Tuobashir cupped his fists and said, This period of time, I specially inquired about it. According to what I know, that direction is the direction where the divine ruins are located. I heard that every year in the divine ruins, such an abnormal phenomenon will happen. Blood light will dye the horizon red, and there will be cries coming out. Divine ruins? Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing were both slightly taken aback. They did not expect such a phenomenon to come from the divine ruins. The divine ruins is very mysterious. Inside contains treasures like the divine ruins, ancient mine, but it's also very dangerous. There's not much danger outside the divine ruins, but inside, it's very dangerous, especially the core region. Even if emperors enter, they've never seen anyone come out. Tuobashir said. This made Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing even more shocked. It was indeed shocking that even an emperor could not come out. At this moment, the crying suddenly disappeared, but what came after was the sound of worship. It was grand and solemn. If one listened carefully, it sounded like a battle song. Cultivate my war spear, kill the 9 heavens, slaughter the alien races, return my mountains and rivers. Vaguely, Lu Ming seemed to have heard these few sentences. They were filled with sorrow and were not afraid of death. Roar! Vaguely, Lu Ming seemed to hear a dragon's roar that shook the world. Lu Ming was secretly shocked. What on earth was in the divine ruins? Lu Ming was extremely curious. This strange phenomenon lasted for an entire night. It only disappeared when the sun rose the next day. At this moment, Lu Ming saw many people flying toward the east. Could they be going to the divine ruins? Lu Ming was a little surprised. It said that every year, an unusual phenomenon will happen in the divine ruins, but for a period of time after the unusual phenomenon, the divine ruins is the safest. The divine ruins are divided into the outer region, inner region, and core region by the people of the South God Palace. Normally, there's no danger in the outer area, but the inner area is full of danger. Even a supreme martial artist can die if they're not careful. As for the core area, even emperors can't come out. However, for a period of time after the phenomenon, the inner region will become much safer. As long as one's luck isn't too bad, there won't be any great danger. One can enter to search for treasures and divine ruins, ancient mines. Tuobashir explained in detail. Clearly, he had found out a lot during this period of time. Chapter 1207. 1207 Entering the Divine Ruins. General Lu, why don't we head to the divine ruins to take a look together? Tuobashir said. All right, the divine ruins is the most famous wonder of the divine ruins continent. Since I'm here, how can I not go? Let's go. Lu Ming said with a smile. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and Tuobashir flew towards the east. Along the way, he saw many people flying towards the east. For example, the divine wilderness continent's Long Chen, Dark Child, and the others had also headed east. On the divine ruins continent, there were quite a few places in the divine ruins, and they were all very famous. There was only one place near the South God Palace, which was more than 50,000 miles to the east of the South God Palace. The distance of 50,000 li was quickly covered. It's really wonderful and spectacular. Lu Ming and the rest stood in the air, looking into the distance, full of amazement. What came into view was an endless stretch of ruins. Yes, it really was a ruin. Endless rubble, broken palaces, broken mountains, and broken pavilions were scattered on the vast land in front of him. It was as if a rich country had fallen from the sky and smashed into the ground, forming a pile of ruins. Some people speculate that the divine ruins is another world. A tragic great battle occurred in another world, space cracked open, and they fell here. Tuobashir said, Another world? Could it be the heaven realm? Lu Ming's heart stirred. He had once been to a small island in the heaven realm and learned some secrets that were not known to anyone. The heaven realm and the primordial realm were twin worlds. Other than these two worlds, no one had heard of any other world. Moreover, it seemed that there was a fierce war in the heavenly realm, which was just in line with the situation. Buzz, buzz, bush. One figure after another charged into the vast divine ruins. Let's go in and take a look, Lu Ming said. The three of them also flew towards the divine ruins. The divine ruins were vast and boundless, occupying an extremely vast area. Right now, the location they were in was the divine ruins periphery. Looking up, Lu Ming saw a huge palace that had fallen to the ground in ruins. It was filled with an ancient aura. He also saw a huge ancient city, which was also in ruins and out of shape. It said that long ago, the divine ruins periphery also had quite a number of divine ruins ancient mines. But so many years have passed, the ancient mines in the divine ruins periphery have long been excavated clean. Only the inner region still has divine ruins ancient mines. Tobashir said. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing nodded. The three of them did not stop and continued flying forward. After a while, the three of them arrived inside the divine ruins. At this point, the three of them landed and did not fly in the sky. This was because the inner regions were filled with danger, especially when flying in the air. If one were to encounter danger, one would not be able to avoid it in time. Moreover, Lu Ming also wanted to look around to see if he could find the divine ruins ancient mine. Why do I feel like I've seen this place before? Dandan's eyes darted around as she mumbled. You've really seen it before? Lu Ming's eyes lit up and he sent a voice transmission to Dandan. I think I've seen it before, but I can't remember it clearly. Strange, it seems that the more important the matter is, the more I can't remember. Dandan muttered, as if she was carefully recalling. Lu Ming was speechless. Dandan always dropped the ball at the critical moment. The three of them reduced their speed and sensed carefully in the ruins to see if they could find the ancient mine in the divine ruins. What a huge palace! Xian Yanqing looked ahead and revealed a look of amazement. In front of him was a huge, broken palace. It was on the ground and looked worn out, but one could tell that it was extremely tall and majestic. Lu Ming, I seem to have a trace of feeling. There seems to be a divine ruins ancient mine inside. Xian Yanqing said. Let's go and take a look, Lu Ming said. The three of them carefully rushed into the ruins of the hall and looked around carefully. Finally, they came to a remote corner. Xian Yanqing sensed that there was something in the corner that was reacting to her. I'll dig it up. Tobashir took out a huge axe made of vital essence and began to hack at the ground. The soil of the ruins was very hard, so Tobashir had a hard time digging. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing joined in. The three of them worked together and cleared the ruins, digging out a large pit that was dozens of meters deep. Sure enough, in the large pit, several pieces of divine ruins ancient mines were discovered. There are a few divine ruins ancient mines here. It's truly a case of searching high and low, but finding it without any effort at all. At this moment, a loud laugh was heard. With a flash, three figures appeared, looking down at Lu Ming and the other two in the deep pit. The three of them were all young men with powerful auras. There was a faint arrogance on their faces. Now, this place belongs to us. The three of you can leave, one of the bald young men said with a commanding tone. You three, we found this place first and excavated it with great difficulty. You want us to leave as soon as you come, isn't that too much? Said Tobashir. These three people were clearly trying to rob him. Too much? I don't think that it's already a great kindness for us to let you leave and spare your lives. Why aren't you all getting lost quickly? We don't have so much time to waste here. After excavating these few divine ruins, ancient mines, we still have to head to other places. The bald youth rebuked coldly. Tobashir's face turned dark and he said, You want us to leave with just one sentence? What a joke. Brat, you talk too much. You don't need to leave now. Bang. With that, the bald youth stomped his feet and pounced towards Toobashir like an eagle pouncing on its prey. At the same time, he threw a punch at Toobashir. "I'm not afraid of you." A mace appeared in Toobashir's hand. With a loud roar, his aura burst forth and he swung the mace towards his opponent. 4th level of the spiritual god realm. Over the past month, Toobashir's cultivation had finally broken through and reached the 4th level of the spiritual god realm. Boom! The bald youth's fist collided with Toobashir's mace. With a loud sound, Toobashir's expression changed drastically. Even with his 4th level spiritual god realm cultivation, it was difficult for him to withstand the attack. He was sent flying backward and spat out a mouthful of blood. Die! The bald youth's eyes flashed with ruthlessness as he threw a punch towards Toobashir's heart. Sky Devil Force Field. With a loud shout, a force field was formed and enveloped the bald young man, greatly reducing his speed. At the same time, Xian Yanqing rushed out and struck out with his palm, which collided with the bald young man's fist. With a loud bang, Xian Yanqing and the bald young man retreated at the same time. "Little Qing, are you all right?" Lu Ming looked at Xian Yanqing. He could tell that the bald youth had an early 5th level spiritual god realm cultivation, which was slightly stronger than Xian Yanqing. However, Xian Yanqing's combat strength was extremely strong. Even if his cultivation was slightly weaker, he should be able to fight with him. "I'm fine." "Lu Ming, leave this person to me. You have to be careful of the other two." Xian Yanqing shook his head. There were 3 people on the other side, and the remaining 2 didn't make a move, but they gave off an even more dangerous feeling. Chapter 1208. 1208 Chapter 1208 Draw with the Continent's Geniuses. Don't worry. It's just too early stage 6th level spiritual god realm. Lu Ming said. The remaining 2 had reached the 6th level of the spiritual god realm. "Little girl, how dare you stop me? You're looking for death." The bald young man roared as his vital essence surged and he pounced towards Xian Yanqing. Black lotuses appeared around Xian Yanqing, forming sharp lotus swords. Together with the sky demon force field, they fought the bald youth. The 2 of them were evenly matched and it was difficult to tell who was stronger. This little girl's combat strength is not bad. It's rare to have such combat strength at the peak of the 4th level of the spiritual god realm. One of the remaining 2 young men said. Not bad indeed. It's a pity that his cultivation is too weak. There's also a kid in the 5th level of the spiritual god realm. Leave him to me. With that, one of the young men pounced on Lu Ming in a flash. He was as fast as lightning, and his palm was like a knife as he slashed at Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming's figure did not move. He did not even look and similarly struck out a palm at the other party. Bang! The 2 palms collided. Lu Ming did not move, but the other party's figure flew backward. He has some combat strength. It seems like we won't be able to take him down unless we use our true strength. The young man's eyes turned cold and serious. A long spear appeared in his hand, shining with a sharp aura. Whoosh! He became one with the spear and stabbed at Lu Ming. The dragon power in Lu Ming's body erupted as he continued to strike with his palm. Clang! Lu Ming moved later but arrived first. His palm was like lightning as it struck the spear's shaft. Buzz! The spear trembled continuously, and the man's expression changed. His body trembled, and he was sent flying again. This time, not only him, but the other young man's face also became serious. Lu Ming's cultivation was only at the 5th level of the spiritual god realm, but the combat strength that erupted from him was shocking. He had easily repelled existences at the 6th level of the spiritual god realm time and time again. They weren't ordinary spiritual gods. They were top geniuses. Treasures belong to those with strength. Since you guys have this strength, then these few pieces of divine ruins, ancient mines will be given to you guys. Puppet fighter, let's go. One of the young men spoke, and his last words were directed at the bald young man. Lu Ming's combat strength made them feel that he was unfathomable. There was no need to fight with Lu Ming for a few divine ruins ancient mines. Bang! The bald young man exchanged a blow with Xian Yanqing and retreated. You injured my friend the moment you arrived, and now you're leaving just after saying a few words. Who do you think we are? Lu Ming sneered. The aura on his body rose and his eyes flashed with a cold light. Kid, we've already taken the initiative to retreat. What else do you want? You're taking advantage of us, yet you're still acting innocent. Do you really think we're afraid of you because we fought evenly with the continent? The bald young man shouted. Are you the ones who fought to a draw with the continent? Tuobashir exclaimed. A draw with the continent. Lu Ming's heart stirred. The Divine Ruins continent cluster had a total of 42 continents. These continents naturally had strong and weak ones too. Although the Divine Wilderness continent was not at the bottom of the Divine Ruins continent group, it was still in the lower middle range and was ranked in the last 10. And the Divine Ruins continent was the number 1 in name and reality. Other than the continent of Divine Ruins, it was also very strong to fight evenly with the continent, and it was ranked in the top 10 of the continent of Divine Ruins. It was also the only 2 continents that made it into the top 10 among the 9 continents of the South God Palace. The 3 young men before him were from the Ping Ping continent. No wonder they were filled with arrogance. No wonder he was so powerful. 2 of the 3 people he met had actually stepped into the 6th level spiritual god realm. Seeing Tuobashir's shocked expression, the bald young man and the other 2 looked pleased. I don't care which continent you're from. If you don't leave something behind today, don't even think about leaving. Lu Ming continued to speak as he strode forward. The bald young man and the other 2 men's faces turned ugly as they approached. You refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. I'll see what you're capable of. The young man who had attacked Lu Ming earlier had a cold look in his eyes. A long spear appeared above his head. He performed the blood fusion and transformed into a long spear. The terrifying sharp power filled the air and pierced holes in the void. Whoosh! The long spear came down and pierced through Lu Ming. Kill! Lu Ming's 3rd bloodline appeared and a wisp of energy surged in. Lu Ming roared and his killing intent surged out like a tide as he punched out. Clang! The fist landed on the spear, causing it to tremble and fly back. This shocked the other young men who were fighting evenly with the continent. Let's attack together. The other 6th level spiritual god realm youth shouted. A combat sword appeared above his head. He transformed into a combat sword and slashed violently at Lu Ming. Needless to say, their bloodlines were all at the 9th level of the divine level and had reached perfection. Boom! Boom! Lu Ming threw 2 consecutive punches at the long spear and the combat sword, sending them both flying and shaking. How can he be so strong? The bald burly man's expression changed drastically, and he was extremely shocked. He and Lu Ming were both 5th level spiritual god realm martial artists. However, he felt that if he were to fight with Lu Ming, he would not be able to withstand even one move from Lu Ming. He was too strong. Lu Ming took a step forward and continued to attack. He swung his fists continuously and a terrifying force exploded, hitting the combat sword and the long spear continuously. Clang! Clang! The sound of metal being struck rang out as the battle sword and the long spear shook continuously. So strong. Is this General Lu's combat strength? He's really too strong. Tuobashir's eyes widened in shock. Back then, when Lu Ming was at the same level as him, he was already convinced that Lu Ming had defeated him with one move. Now, he admired Lu Ming even more when he went all out. Lu Ming did not use the blood meridian fusion. He kept punching with both his fists, each of which contained the powerful strength of the prison-suppressing heaven technique. Ever since he had gotten the fragment of the prison-guarding steel, his prison-guarding sky technique had become more and more powerful. Even if he used the same vital essence, his power was much stronger than before. However, he felt that the prison-suppressing heaven technique could be even more powerful. There was still a lot of potential that he had not discovered. Lu Ming was trying to understand it as he fought. The speed of his punches became slower and slower, but each punch seemed to suppress and imprison everything in the world. It seemed slow, but it was actually extremely fast, forcing the other party to meet force with force. Clang, clang, clang. The sound of explosions continued to ring out as the sword and spear trembled more and more violently. Finally, with two bangs, they exploded and turned back into human figures. Their faces were pale and they spat out blood as they retreated. Their eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. The two of them were at the early stage of the 6th-level spiritual god realm, which was higher than Lu Ming's cultivation. However, even when the two of them joined forces, they were completely suppressed by Lu Ming and were seriously injured. How was this possible? Who are you? Are you a peerless heaven's favorite of the South God Palace? One of the young men asked. They suspected that Lu Ming was a peerless heaven's favorite cultivated by the South God Palace. Only the overlord of the divine ruins could cultivate such a powerful heaven's favorite. You want to know who I am? You're not qualified enough. You leave your storage ring behind and get lost. Lu Ming looked at the bald young man. Chapter 1209. 1209. The Mu family's expert. The three young men who had fought evenly with Lu Ming from the mainland all had ugly expressions on their faces, especially the bald young man, who looked even worse. Lu Ming actually wanted him to leave behind his storage ring. Friend, don't go too far. There are even stronger heaven's favorites on the continent. If we go too far, it won't do anyone any good. The bald man said. The storage ring was all he had. Nonsense, if you don't hand him over, leave him behind. Lu Ming rebuked and strode towards bald Lu Ming. His cold, killing intent covered the bald man's body, causing his bald head to break out in cold sweat. Puppet fighter, leave the ring. The other young man who fought evenly with the others from the continent spoke. In the end, the bald young man had no choice but to take off his storage ring and throw it to Lu Ming. Let's wait and see. After fighting evenly with one of the young men on the continent, the three of them left with their tails between their legs after leaving behind some harsh words. Tuoba, this ring is for you. Lu Ming threw the bald young man's storage ring to Tuobashir. I can't accept this. Tuobashir waved his hands frantically. No need to be so polite with me. This is compensation for your injuries. Lu Ming said with a smile. Tuobashir was the last to put it away, and he was touched. After that, they dug out the few pieces of divine ruins, ancient mines. There were a total of 5 divine ruins, ancient mines. They were all the same glistening yellow, like gold but the material was not gold, and was hundreds of times more valuable than gold. Of course, to them, even if it was tens of thousands of times more valuable than gold, it was of no use to them, unless it was a precious material for refining weapons. However, this kind of glistening yellow seemed to have no other use except for its unique sealing ability. Little Qing, you have a reaction to this divine ruins ancient mine, indicating that it contains items that are useful to you. You keep it. Lu Ming said. Xian Yanqing nodded and kept the 5 ancient mines. Then, the few of them carefully surveyed the area and left after finding nothing else. Following that, the 3 of them searched many places. Unfortunately, they did not discover any other divine ruins ancient mines. You guys follow me, there might be a divine ruins ancient mine ahead. Dandan ran forward madly. In front of her was a huge stone forest, and at a glance, there were stone pillars. Some of the stone pillars were as thick as a mountain peak, while others were as thin as a stick. Lu Ming and the other 2 followed Dandan into the stone forest to sense it carefully. Dandan's pair of eyes swiveled around, and finally, she sensed something in a place. The few of them dug a large pit, and indeed, they discovered a few more divine ruins ancient mines. This place is very magical. Let's take a look again. Lu Ming said. The group continued to venture deeper into the stone forest. Suddenly dash. With a boom, a huge explosion was heard. Then, the 3 of them saw the stone pillars in front of them explode one by one. Gravel flew everywhere as a figure flew over at high speed. This figure had clearly been sent flying by someone and crashed into the stone pillars, which was why the stone pillars had exploded. Bang! In the end, the figure crashed into a stone pillar that was as large as a mountain not far away from Lu Ming and the rest. It only stopped after half of the stone pillar was destroyed. This is Longchen. The three men's gazes froze and their hearts skipped a beat. This figure was actually Longchen. Longchen spat out a mouthful of blood and saw Lu Ming and the other two. "Let's go!" Longchen shouted. Buzz. Bush. Their figures flickered as they arrived one after another, their powerful auras covering the entire stone forest. Among these people, there were middle-aged men and white-haired old men. The aura they emitted was very shocking. The worst was at the 8th level of the spiritual god realm, some were at the 9th level, and some were even at the great circle of the spiritual god realm. "Longchen, let's see how you die today." An arrogant voice rang out. The two young men stepped out. Mu Feng Mu Ju. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. These two young figures were Mu Feng and Mu Ju. The one who had just spoken was Mu Feng. At that moment, Mu Feng and Mu Ju turned their eyes and saw Lu Ming and the rest. "Ah, Lu Ming, it's you guys? What a coincidence. I was planning to kill Longchen before looking for you guys. I didn't expect to meet you here. I'll kill you guys as well. It saves me the trouble of looking for you." Mu Jue laughed hysterically when he saw Lu Ming. Lu Ming had an idea and could roughly guess what had happened. It seemed like Mu Feng and Mu Ju harbored a grudge against them and led experts to kill them in the divine ruins. The first person they encountered was Longchen. They planned to kill Longchen before killing Lu Ming and the others, but they did not expect Lu Ming and the others to come here as well. Kill them all." Mu Ju roared. Boom! An elder appeared above Lu Ming and the other two. A vast aura burst forth and a huge fireball appeared in his palm. No, it was not a fireball, but a huge meteorite. Great circle of the spiritual god realm. Not good. Retreat. Lu Ming's pupils constricted. This elder's aura was too shocking. He was in existence at the great circle of the spiritual god realm. Without the slightest hesitation, they frantically retreated. Boom! The moment they retreated, the meteorite crashed down at an unbelievable speed. Get lost! At that moment, the 8 streams of dragon energy in Lu Ming's body erupted. His third bloodline emerged. In an instant, Lu Ming threw dozens of punches, each of which was powerful, hoping to weaken the meteorite's power. Sky Devil Force Field. Xian Yanqing's demonic force field was also weakening the meteorite's power. Boom! The meteorites fell and exploded, and the violent power spread out in all directions. Lu Ming and Xian Yanqing retreated thousands of meters at top speed. They only stopped after they crashed through a dozen stone pillars. "Little Qing, are you okay?" Lu Ming asked with concern. "I'm fine." Xian Yanqing shook his head. She was surrounded by the Sky Demon Force Field, which weakened the power of the meteorite. It was not a big deal. "Not good, Tuobashir." Lu Ming's expression changed. He did not see Tuobashir at the side. Soon, the smoke and dust dissipated, and the scene in front of them became clear. Tuobashir had also blocked the force, but he was sent flying in another direction. That direction was closer to Mu Ju and the others. Bang! Tuobashir stood up from the rubble with blood spurting from his mouth. Although he had managed to block the force, he was clearly injured. "Tuoba, quickly leave!" Lu Ming shouted. We can't escape." Mu Ju laughed heartily. In a flash, he pounced towards Tuobashir with lightning speed. Tuobashir's cultivation base was 2 stages lower than Mu Ju's. In addition to his injuries, Mu Ju grabbed his throat without any resistance. "Lu Ming, kneel down and beg me. Otherwise, I'll kill your friend immediately." Mu Ju laughed and looked at Lu Ming smugly. "Lu Ming, leave quickly. Don't worry about me." Tuobashir roared. Chapter 1210. 1210 Chapter 1210 Death of Tuobashir. Shut up. Mu Ju's eyes turned cold as he chopped off one of Tuobashir's arms with his hand like a knife. Tuobashir roared like a wild beast. "Mu Ju! At this moment, Lu Ming's eyes were extremely cold and filled with killing intent. He stared at Mu Ju and said, "I will kill you and let you die a miserable death." "Ha, Lu Ming, are you joking? Today, I've mobilized so many experts from the Mu family. If you think you can escape, you'll all die." Mu Jue laughed arrogantly. "Kill them." Finally, Mu Jue waved his hand and gave the order. "Kill. Brat die." A series of cold shouts rang out as a terrifying aura burst forth. True energy boiled as a terrifying killing intent enveloped Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing and Long Chen. "Oh!" The Archean dragon-esque elephant appeared on Long Chen's body, and he turned into a giant elephant the size of a mountain. The Archean dragon-esque elephant roared and took a step forward. An 8th-level spiritual god realm expert's expression changed drastically. He let out a blood-curdling scream as his body was torn to pieces. With a swing of the elephant trunk, a 9th-level spiritual god realm expert spat out blood and was sent flying in horror. Previously, one of their great circle of the spiritual god realm experts suddenly attacked and gave Long Chen a heavy blow, sending him flying. They thought that Long Chen was only SOSO, but they didn't expect him to be so terrifying when he erupted. "Little Qin, help me!" Lu Ming shouted, and the 9-dragon bloodline appeared above his head. Lu Ming transformed into 9 dragons, stepped on the void, and rushed toward Mu Ju. Mu Ju's expression changed drastically. He held onto Tuobashir and retreated while shouting, "Kill him! Kill him!" Buzz. Bush. All of a sudden, 5 to 6 experts rushed toward Lu Ming. The weakest of them was at the 8th level of the spiritual god realm. Sky Devil Force Field. Xian Yanqing also performed the bloodline fusion and turned into a magnificent heavenly demon. She pressed her jade-like hands together and a powerful heavenly demon force field burst out. This is the 8th-level spiritual god realm and even 9th-level spiritual god realm experts' expressions changed. This was because they were all hindered by the heavenly demon force field, especially those at the 8th level of the spiritual god realm, who suffered the most. Devour! The 9 dragons roared, and the devouring power burst forth, enveloping 5 or 6 experts under the devouring power, weakening their combat power once again. Bang! 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 Then the 9 dragons stepped out. "Ah, not good. Ah!" With a series of screams, a few 8th-level spiritual god realm experts were torn to pieces by the claws of the 9 dragons and died on the spot. Bang! Bang! The 2 9th-level spiritual god realm experts were also forced to retreat. They spat out large mouthfuls of blood and their faces were deathly pale. "Kill!" The 9 dragons let out a long roar and continued to step forward. Their 2 dragon claws swiped down at the 2 9th-level spiritual god realm experts. The power of the prison's suppressing heaven technique erupted, and there was no way to avoid it. "Help!" The 2 experts at the 9th level of the spiritual god realm roared in fear. Then, they each performed their bloodline fusion and erupted with all their strength to resist. However, it was useless. Under the 9 dragons' dragon claws, his bloodline collapsed. When he turned into a human, he was torn apart by the dragon claws. Roar! The devouring power erupted and devoured the blood essence energy of the spirit god experts. This. Mu Ju and Mu Feng were scared out of their wits as they frantically retreated. This was too terrifying and shocking. Chapter 12:11. 12:11 Killing a Great Circle Spirit God. The huge prison-suppressing steel and the meteorite collided. It was like 2 stars had collided. Terrifying energy fluctuations swept in all directions. Countless stone pillars were turned into dust under the energy ripples. Boom! In the light of the flames, the huge meteorite was knocked back and slammed into the ground, creating a huge pit. The perfected spiritual god was no match for Lu Ming and was at a disadvantage. Not far away, Mu Ju was almost scared to death. This was too terrifying. Even a great circle spiritual god was no match for him. What kind of combat power was this? Suppress! The cold voice came out of the prison-suppressing steel and continued to press down on the huge meteorite. Buzz! At this moment, a huge palm print came from the side and hit the prison-suppressing steel, blocking it for a moment. It was another great circle of the spiritual God stage. Bang! Taking advantage of this opportunity, the huge meteorite flew out of the ground and met up with another great circle of the spiritual God stage. Let's attack together. This person is too monstrous. An old voice came from the huge meteorite, and it was filled with shock. Attack! The other great circle spiritual god shouted. Two great circle spiritual gods joined forces and charged toward Lu Ming. The great circle of the spiritual god realm was several times more powerful than the 9th level of the spiritual god realm. It was extremely terrifying. In a sense, the great circle of the spiritual god realm was already the peak of the spiritual god realm. Standing at the highest point of the spiritual god realm, one would be an emperor. As for the Supreme Being realm, it was actually just a stage in the great circle of the spiritual god realm that was on the way to the emperor realm. Emperors needed to transform their intent into a domain, while supremes had already comprehended the embryonic form of a domain, but had not yet fully transformed it into a domain. Kill! Even though he was facing two great circle spiritual gods, Lu Ming's killing intent was still soaring. The prison-suppressing steel emitted a brilliant light and pressed down on the two of them. Boom! Boom! The two perfected spiritual god powerhouses joined forces to resist and burst out with terrifying attacks. However, they were suppressed by Lu Ming in the end. They were continuously bombarded by the stone tablet and were forced to retreat. The two of them joined forces but were still at a disadvantage. Dragon and elephant battling the heavens. On the other side, the Archean dragon-esque elephant went berserk. Its body expanded, and its scales were dense. It was tens of thousands of feet tall, and it had the terrifying power to trample through mountains and rivers. Long Chen was also facing two experts in the great circle of the spiritual god realm. At this moment, the immemorial dragon elephant's terrifying combat strength was fully displayed. He was fighting two experts in the great circle of the spiritual god realm alone and was not at a disadvantage at all. He even had the upper hand. The bloodline of the top 10 war beasts is indeed terrifying. Lu Ming sensed the situation over there and he was secretly shocked. At the same time, Lu Ming was looking forward to the 9-dragon bloodline. Right now, the 9-dragon bloodline was only at the 8th level of the divine level and had yet to reach perfection. However, once the 9-dragon bloodline reached perfection, it would definitely be even stronger. Furthermore, it would give birth to the 9th dragon energy, and its might would definitely be even more terrifying. At that time, the power of the bloodline of the 9 dragons alone would not be weaker than Long Chen's. The two of them had joined forces and were actually able to suppress 4 great circle spiritual god stage experts. How could this be? How did this happen? Mu Jue murmured to himself, his eyes wide open in fear. Lu Ming and Long Chen's strength had far exceeded his expectations. He had already overestimated Lu Ming. He had brought 4 perfected spiritual god experts and more than a dozen 8th and 9th level spiritual god experts. Even with such terrifying combat strength, not only did he fail to kill Lu Ming and Long Chen, but he had also fallen into a disadvantageous position. Chapter 12:12. 12:12 Supremes taking action, core of the divine ruins. Who? Having escaped with his life, Mu Jue let out a long sigh of relief. He felt as if his entire body was drenched in cold sweat. Lu Ming, Long Chen. Mu Jue gritted his teeth. This time, their losses were too great. They had lost more than a dozen 8th and 9th level spiritual god experts, and 2 perfected spiritual god experts. They were all advanced spiritual gods. Even if there were many experts in the divine ruins, he would be punished by his father if he lost so many of them at once. Selah! The space suddenly split open and a middle-aged man stepped out. Elder Rain, is that you? Seeing this middle-aged man, Mu Jue's eyes lit up and he became excited. A supreme martial artist. The Mu family's supreme martial artist had arrived. He finally knew why Lu Ming and the rest had fled in a hurry. They must have sensed the arrival of the supreme being and fled. "Young master, what's going on?" Supreme Dancing Rain frowned when he saw the sorry state Mu Ju and the others were in. "Someone killed a member of the Mu family. Elder Rain, they're right in front of us. They didn't get far. Let's chase after them and kill them." Mu Jua shouted. "Who dares to kill my Mu family's people? Young master, I'll take you with me." Supreme Dancing Rain swept Mu Ju with her vital essence and tore the space apart. She stepped into the space with Mu Ju and chased after Lu Ming and the rest. "Lu Ming, what's going on?" Lu Ming and Long Chen ran at top speed. "A paragon is coming," Lu Ming said. Long Chen's expression changed drastically. Although he had no idea how Lu Ming was able to sense the presence of a supreme being, with their current strength, they would definitely die if they were to face a supreme being. The two of them were extremely fast, like two bolts of lightning cutting through the void. At this moment, Lu Ming had already transformed into 9 dragons. The 9 dragons stomped in the air at an astonishing speed. As for the Archean dragonesque elephant that Long Chen had transformed into, although it was huge and had immense strength, its speed was also terrifyingly fast. As the elephant's legs stomped down, the void exploded. One step was 1,000 miles. The direction the two of them were heading was the core direction of the divine ruins. "Not good. Hurry up. That supreme martial artist is catching up," Dandan anxiously urged. "Hurry up," Lu Ming shouted. Together with Long Chen, they used all their strength to rush forward. When Lu Ming heard that the supreme being was coming, he flew towards the core of the divine ruins without hesitation. If they had tried to escape in any other direction, they definitely wouldn't have been able to escape. Supremes could tear through space, and no matter how fast they were, they wouldn't be able to outrun Supremes. They would definitely be caught. The only way to survive was the divine ruins core. Although the divine ruins core was rumored to be very dangerous, he could only take a gamble. "We're almost there." Lu Ming's eyes lit up. The area in front of them was filled with a blood-colored mist. From afar it looked misty. That was the core region of the divine ruins, the legendary forbidden area, where anyone who entered would die. However, Lu Ming and Long Chen had no choice but to hide in there for the time being. Buzz! Buzz! The two of them were decisive people. Without any hesitation, they rushed into the blood-red area and disappeared. Selah! Just as the two of them entered the core region, the space outside the core region split open. Supreme Dancing Rain stepped out of the spatial crack with Mu Ju. "Young master, they've entered the core area." Supreme Bath frowned. "Humph, even emperors will die if they enter the core area. If they go in, they'll be dead for sure. It's a pity that they died like this." Chapter 12-13 12-13 Chapter 1213 Danger. There was actually a formation hidden in this green rock. Due to his carelessness, he had not discovered it. Whoosh! The flaming chains wrapped around Long Chen. "Break!" Long Chen roared and threw out his fists. Boom! Boom! The two punches were so powerful that they pierced through the space, but the flame chains were very strong. Long Chen's punches only shook the flame chains, but they didn't break. Ooh! Then the green stone glowed, and more flame chains spread out. Long Chen shouted angrily. His entire body glowed, and his arm became thick. A layer of scales appeared on his arm as he punched out. Buzz! One of the flaming chains was finally broken. But what followed were even more chains, and two of them were already wrapped around Long Chen's body. The chains wrapped around Long Chen's body, making a sizzling sound. Green smoke was even coming out of Long Chen's body. This flame chain was extremely terrifying. It actually ignored Long Chen's protective True Yuan and directly acted on his body. A layer of scale armor appeared on Long Chen's skin, exactly the same as the one on the Archean dragonesque elephant. The chains were working on the scales, causing them to creak. From the looks of it, They wouldn't be able to last much longer. Break! Long Chen's muscles bulged as he grabbed the 2 chains and struggled with all his might. He finally broke the 2 chains, but more chains appeared around him and enveloped him. These flame chains are so terrifying. They can cut objects in half. I don't think Long Chen can hold on for long. Xian Yanqing said with a serious expression. Lu Ming's eyes were fixed on the blue stone and the runes. He was looking for a way to break it. Ooh! As time passed, the light on the blue stone grew brighter and brighter. More and more flame chains appeared, and Long Chen was getting more and more exhausted. There were already a few strangulation marks on his body, and he was almost cut in half by the flame chains. Long Chen, take 2 steps to the right and 3 steps back. He ordered. Suddenly, Lu Ming's voice was heard. Long Chen was slightly taken aback, but he did as he was told without hesitation. He took 2 steps to the right, then 3 steps back. A few chains brushed past Long Chen by a hair's breadth. 4 steps to the right, 2 steps forward, 5 steps to the left. Lu Ming's eyes were fixed on the blue stone as he continued to give instructions. Now, Ming Lian's second body had already obtained the inheritance of the profound Sky Saint in the secret realm of the Saint Mansion. After cultivating hard in the secret realm of the Saint Mansion, his progress in the Tao of Ming Lian was at a terrifying speed. Lu Ming's main body and his clone were connected in their minds. As his Tao of inscription of the clone improved, Lu Ming's eyesight had naturally improved greatly as well. Although he did not have mental energy fire and could not inscribe inscriptions, he could still see the flaws in the array. Following Lu Ming's instructions, Long Chen dodged to the right, then to the left, then to the back, then to the front. He dodged all the chains and slowly left the range of the blue stone. Dandan, I need your help. Lu Ming said to Dandan when he saw Long Chen coming to the edge of the blue stone. Don't worry, just watch me. Dandan flew out and waved its claws. Inscriptions appeared and formed a large array, then it rushed into the blue stone. Long Chen is out. Lu Ming shouted. Without hesitation, Long Chen charged out. The formation he had formed glowed, temporarily imprisoning the flaming chains. However, in the next moment, they collapsed one by one. In this short moment, Long Chen managed to rush out of the blue stone and let out a long breath. Brother Lu, thank you for your help. Long Chen cupped his fists at Lu Ming. I can only try my best. Follow me and don't walk around. Dandan flew out and circled around, carefully sizing up the surroundings. This way. After a while, Dandan pointed in a direction. This way? Isn't this side heading towards the core of the divine ruins? Lu Ming was puzzled. Xian Yanqing and Long Chen also looked at Dandan in confusion. What are you looking at? If you don't believe me, then you can look for him yourself. Dandan pouted and ran away. Lu Ming was speechless. He could only trust this fellow. The 3 of them followed Dandan and moved forward carefully. Dandan and Lu Ming observed carefully. Along the way, they avoided many broken formations and moved forward. There's a divine ruins ancient mine. Xian Yanqing's eyes lit up as he looked into the distance. There were a few ancient mines in the divine ruins that were exposed to the outside. The divine ruins core had never been excavated before by anyone in the past. It was absolutely a huge treasure trove. There's no formation there, you can collect it. Lu Ming circulated his vital essence and collected the few divine ruins, ancient mines. You all have to remember, some remnant arrays are very powerful. Once you enter, even the emperor will die. Even if you see the divine ruins, ancient mine, don't take it. Don't be blinded by greed. Dandan had a mature look as she earnestly warned everyone. But the next moment, Dandan's eyes lit up as she stared to the right and shouted, a level 9 spiritual herb. Then, he ran over, grabbed a sparkling and resplendent spirit herb, and stuffed it into his mouth. Buzz! In that place, runes glowed and formed terrifying beams of light that shot towards Dandan. She was in a state of panic, jumping up and down. In the end, she managed to escape with her powerful defense and profound Tao of inscription. Lu Ming and the rest were speechless. This guy had just warned them. In the end, when he saw the spiritual medicine, he immediately rushed over. However, they were also secretly shocked. The spiritual herb that Dan had just obtained was indeed extremely shocking. It was a level 9 spiritual herb. This area was truly a treasure trove. The party advanced carefully. Along the way, they indeed encountered quite a number of treasures, mainly divine ruins, ancient mines, and spirit medicines. Most of the spirit herbs went into Danden's mouth, while the ancient mine of the divine ruins was divided equally among Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and Long Chen. Of course, in some dangerous places, even if they saw spirit medicines and divine ruins ancient mines, the few of them did not collect them and directly gave up. This is a 9-leaf zoysia. Not long after, they saw a spiritual herb with 9 leaves. It was sparkling and translucent, and the medicinal fragrance assailed their nostrils. It was actually a 9-leaf Ganoderma, one of the main ingredients for refining the Nirvana pill. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He did not expect to encounter a 9-leaf zoysia here. However, the place where the 9-leafed mushroom grew had a broken array. In the end, Lu Ming and Dandan worked together and spent a lot of effort before they successfully harvested the 9-leafed mushroom. For this, Dandan spat out a few mouthfuls of blood and cried out that she had made a loss. Lu Ming kept the 9-leaf clover and was in a good mood. Dandan maintained her running posture and was fixed in the air, her mouth crooked. Bang! Bang! The headless true dragon rider stepped forward, getting closer and closer to them. Its powerful aura shattered the huge rocks in front of them, and they were directly exposed to the headless rider. Trespassers will be killed. A cold and emotionless voice came from the headless horseman. Little Qing. Lu Ming looked at Xian Yanqing. This time he was most likely doomed. Lu Ming, as long as I'm with you, what's the harm in dying? Xian Yanqing sent a voice transmission to Lu Ming, his eyes filled with affection. It can't be, could it be that this king didn't die in that earth-shattering battle, but I'm going to die here? No way, don't. Dandan shouted, her voice full of unwillingness. Bang! The headless horseman stood in front of them and pointed the dragon spear in his hand. A cold, killing intent covered the few people. Kill! The cold voice came from somewhere unknown. However, at this moment, Lu Ming's body glowed. A purple gold token floated out of Lu Ming's body. Mixed Essence Token. This was the Mixed Essence Token that Lu Ming had obtained in the Battle of Providence. He did not know how to use it, but it floated in the air of its own accord at this moment. At the same time, a purple gold token also appeared on Long Chen's body. It was also a Mixed Essence Token. Long Chen had also obtained a Mixed Essence Token when he participated in the Battle of Providence. 2 Mixed Essence Tokens flew out, emitting a bright light. The headless true dragon knight stopped in his tracks, as if he was looking at the 2 mixed energy tokens. Hunyuan Token. Your Hunyuan sect disciples. It's been countless years. I didn't expect to see Hunyuan sect disciples again. Since you're Hunyuan sect disciples, you're one of us. Come in. A cold and dry voice came out of the headless true dragon knight's mouth. The pressure on Lu Ming and the rest was relieved and disappeared without a trace. Lu Ming and the rest immediately regained their freedom. Little Qing. Lu Ming held Xian Yanqing's little hand and looked at the headless true dragon knight cautiously. It's been so many years. I've finally met a Hunyuan sect disciple again. How's Hunyuan sect now? Is it still resisting, or has it already been destroyed? A leisurely voice came from the headless true dragon rider. Then, the headless true dragon knight turned around and left. Step by step, it walked into the pitch-black palace and disappeared without a trace. You guys can come in. What kind of opportunities you can get will depend on your luck. The voice of the headless true dragon knight came from the palace, and then it became completely silent. This, Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Long Chen, and the others were all stunned and confused. The headless true dragon knight's attitude changed drastically when he saw Lu Ming and Long Chen's primordial chaos tokens. He left immediately and even allowed them to enter the palace. On both sides of the passageway were stone rooms. The few of them checked a few stone rooms but found nothing. What? Suddenly, Long Chen's expression changed. He seemed to have sensed something. He strode forward and came to a sealed stone room. At this point, Long Chen's body glowed, and the Archean dragonesque elephant bloodline appeared on his head. Oh! The Archean dragonesque elephant bloodline howled and rammed into the stone door of the stone chamber. Gotcha! He could even see all kinds of battle armors, which, like the weapons, were rotten. Upon closer inspection, there were many skeletons under the weapons and armors. Could these be the burial grounds of the powerhouses who had died in battle? The headless true dragon riders were guarding this place. Lu Ming secretly guessed in his heart. That is 10,000 spirit crystals? I'm rich, I'm rich. Dandan's eyes suddenly lit up, and she ran forward madly, rushing into the land full of bones, and then dug out a colorful crystal the size of a human head from the center. This guy hugged the jingsher and actually began to gnaw on it. Ka-cha, he ate with great relish. During this process, the headless true dragon knight didn't move and didn't stop him. Lu Ming smiled and strode forward. When he entered the field of bones, his expression changed drastically. Kill, kill, kill. Countless roars filled with murderous intent suddenly exploded in Lu Ming's mind. It was an extremely powerful killing intent. It was the killing intent of those powerhouses who were unwilling to die. One by one, they were too powerful. If it was anyone else, they would have been instantly drowned by this endless killing intent and turned into an idiot. However, Lu Ming was different. The killing intent in his third bloodline was countless times stronger than the killing intent here. Lu Ming was often faced with such killing intent and had long learned how to resist it. He could keep his mind clear in the face of endless killing intent. What a strong killing intent, but it's useless against me. But Dandan is too unreliable. He didn't even warn me. If it were anyone else, they would be in danger. Lu Ming thought to himself. Dandan was still holding that piece of crystal and nibbling on it, her eyes narrowed, a very enjoyable expression on her face. Kill, kill, kill. The killing intent was filled with an intense unwillingness and unyielding battle intent, as if it wanted to kill the world and kill the enemy. What is this? Lu Ming's expression changed and he closed his eyes. The next moment, the surrounding environment seemed to have changed. Lu Ming came to a vast land with countless light pillars soaring into the sky. The light pillars were the auras of the essence realm of heaven and earth. No, in essence, they were countless times stronger than the essence realm of heaven and earth. This is left behind by those experts? It's about intent, or is it an understanding that's even stronger than intent? Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat and he was overjoyed. This was because Lu Ming could sense auras similar to the fire concept, thunder concept, and so on in the light pillars. He could find all 5 concepts that he had comprehended. If I can comprehend here, I can quickly increase my domain of heaven and earth. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. This was a great opportunity for him. Immediately, Lu Ming sat cross-legged and began to comprehend quietly. Dandan, on the other hand, quickly finished eating the 10,000 spirit crystal and lay there, motionless, her whole body glowing. Fire concept. Lu Ming first comprehended the concept of fire. Currently, his fire and thunder concepts were the strongest and had already reached the peak of level 4 upper tier. He was only one step away from completing level 4. At that moment, Lu Ming's fire concept was rapidly improving. Just like that, time passed day by day. 7 days later, Lu Ming broke through his fire concept in one fell swoop, making him the first to reach the full circle of level 4. The full completion of level 4 intent realm was already the highest level. The next step would be the domain realm. Boom! On Lu Ming's body, there was a layer of flames jumping and burning through the space. Grand completion of level 4, so strong. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with joy. Even I would have a headache when I was at my peak. Boy, you're really lucky. It seems that this space-time spirit mouse is counting on you. Dandan said, her tone full of envy. Didn't they say that the top 10 war beasts are unique in the world? Could this be the one from ancient times? Lu Ming asked curiously. He had already determined that this was a real space-time spirit mouse. Lu Ming had seen it use the space-time will with his own eyes. I don't think so. The space-time spirit mouse died in battle. Chapter 1224. 1224 9 Dragon Bloodline Perfection. Almsgivers, you must be careful of that man in white. At this moment, a Buddhist chant was heard and the figure of the unscrupulous monk appeared. Monk, do you know who he is? Lu Ming asked. That's right. Xian Yanjuan has been very close to this man. There are 3 strongest heaven's favorites in the younger generation of the South God Palace. This man is one of them, Wang Zhen. The monk said. This person is Wang Zhen. Lu Ming's eyes flickered. The 3 strongest heaven's pride experts of the younger generation of the South God Palace were all extraordinary heaven's pride experts. Each and every one of them was incomparably terrifying, and their cultivation was unfathomable. Lu Ming had seen Ji Hongshan before. He was indeed extraordinary. He didn't expect Xian Yanjuan to be so close to Wang Zhen, one of the 3 great talents of the South God Palace. Many thanks. Lu Ming cupped his fists and returned to his room with Xian Yanqing and Long Chen. Lu Ming entered the room and entered the mountain and river diagram. First, he planted the purple lotus, a half-saint herb, next to the ancient tree of enlightenment on the Xianhuang silicotic soil. Then, Lu Ming sat cross-legged on the top of a mountain with a drop of blood essence in his hand. It was precisely the blood essence cut out from the Divine Ruins, ancient mine. Lu Ming planned to devour and refine this drop of blood essence to see if his 9-dragon bloodline could advance to Divine Level 9. Previously, Lu Ming had refined 4 supreme blood essences, but his 9-dragon bloodline had not advanced. This time, it was a hope. Without any hesitation, the 9-dragon bloodline swallowed the drop of blood essence. The drop of blood essence did not collapse immediately after being devoured by the bloodline of the 9 dragons. Instead, it turned into wisps of pure energy, which was constantly refined and transformed into the bloodline power of the 9 dragons. The energy of this drop of blood essence was extremely majestic and boundless. Lu Ming put all his effort into refining it. In the blink of an eye, almost 3 days had passed. The energy of this drop of blood essence was finally completely refined. On the bodies of the 9 dragons, the 8 golden chakra shone so brightly that people could not open their eyes. Suddenly buzz! Above the 8 dazzling golden chakras, the 9th golden chakra emerged. The 9th golden chakra was a divine level rank 9 bloodline. The bloodline of the 9 dragons had finally advanced to the 9th level of the divine level. Moreover, after the 9th golden chakra appeared, it was dark golden at first, but it immediately became bright and resplendent. The color became brighter and brighter, more and more resplendent, and finally, all 9 golden chakra were equally resplendent. The bloodline of the 9 dragons was finally complete. Roar! At this moment, an earth-shattering dragon's roar rang out in Lu Ming's mind. At the same time, Lu Ming seemed to see an enormous 9 dragon with 9 dragon claws under its belly soaring and dancing. The 9 dragons stepped in the air with shocking power. Boom! Lu Ming's mind was buzzing and exploding. At this moment, many things seemed to have appeared in his mind. What is this? Lu Ming carefully sensed and comprehended it. He realized that it was a memory about the 9 dragons. Unfortunately, it was only a few fragmented memories. True War Dragon Technique Foundation Establishment Chapter. Lu Ming found the True War Dragon Techniques Foundation Establishment Chapter in the 9 Dragons Memory Fragments. It's only the Foundation Chapter. What a pity! Lu Ming let out a long sigh. There should be more chapters to the True War Dragon Technique. Those who wanted to climb up the mountain were all very powerful heaven's favorites. They had enough confidence in themselves. Otherwise, they wouldn't dare to go up. Most of them were the strongest heaven's favorites from the top 10 continents in the divine ruins. Boom, boom, boom. The sky was rumbling, and the battle was extremely intense. All kinds of lights flickered, and it was extremely shocking. Oh my God, are these the strongest heaven's favorites of the divine ruins? It's too shocking.